your status at the institution. If they had been able to change my status, I would, as I said earlier, they could have held me forever. There would have been nothing that I could do. So after I had this vision, I discussed it with one of the inmates who was there, who I had befriended. And it got back to the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist came to the next day he came and he said to me that this was why you're here. You're having these illusions and things, and that's why we're going to treat you. We're going to have a hearing tomorrow, and we're going to see if we can treat you and get you well again. Well, Julius Nicholas' chief classification of parole is the person who must sign the document to change my status at the institution. It must bear his signature before it can go to Washington, D.C., because he was the chief of classification and parole, and no change of classification can be made without his okay, not even by the warden. Well, that Friday morning, they came and got me around 9 o'clock and took me into this big conference room, which was located near the psychiatric ward, and I sat down, and without too much talking, the associate warden told me to get my things and go back to the camp. And I was really shocked. I said, hey, this is supposed to be an insanity hearing that they're going to put me through to change my number. So now I look around and I don't see Mr. Nicholas, Julius Nicholas, anywhere. And he's the guy that's supposed to sign the commitment paper. So I go back to the camp and I see my friend Gus Postel. He said, man, are we happy to see you. We heard that you were going to the committee today. I said, I did go. I said, but Mr. Nicholas didn't show up. He said, Mr. Nicholas? He said, man, Mr. Nicholas is dead. I said, dead? So yeah, wow. He hung himself last night. I said, what? So he hung himself, yeah, and he Gus ran downstairs, got the newspaper, and showed it to me on the front page. What had happened, Mr. Nicholas went home, got in an argument with his wife. I don't know what the argument was about. Shot her in the leg, chased her down the street. When she ran in the neighbor's house, he ran back to his house a couple of doors down, ran in the house and locked the doors, went down in the basement and threw a rope over the furnace pipes down there and stood on the box, jumped off and hung himself. So there was no way that day that they could have any hearing on my insanity, so they had to release me and send me back to camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was removed by God. God moved him, you see. Because I firmly believe, brother, that there are other works that I have to do. And I'm about doing those works now. Now, your audience, if they want to ask questions, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of questions. This phone line, there's people on the phone line right now, but I want to just shoot in some points. He did a great job. Y'all got to read the book, The Echo from Daily Plaza, his memoirs. It's so powerful. It's very impactful. Brother Bolden is very humble, but then he's a true spiritual warrior. Here, like the sister said on our chat room, he has such a strong constitution. Sister Elizabeth Warren wishes you a happy birthday from the chat room. And she's been researching this for several years now. But I want to tell people these things that Mr. Bolden is pointing out. Number one, over 300 people have died under mysterious circumstances connected to the JFK assassination. These include witnesses, people that worked in the government, gangsters, all people from all walks of life. Folks who was at Dealey Plaza that day who took footage of the assassination, who took pictures, reporters. Over 300 plus people have died who are connected to the Kennedy assassination case. Judge Perry, who Mr. Bolden saw a lot of when he was sending criminals to jail at 100% success rate. This is the same judge who presided over the Chairman Fred Hampton civil case. Chairman Fred Hampton was the leader of Black Panther Party of Illinois, who was killed in his bed by Chicago police on the orders of the FBI back in '69. he presided over his civil case and caused a lot of mayhem in that case as well, which why it took like almost 13 years for it to finally be resolved. And also, I mean, some people in organized crime was involved in framing up Brother Bolden as well. You know, people from the Chicago outfit. If you know anything about the JFK history, you know, people like Sam Giancana and Johnny Roselli are very well known mobsters out of Chicago outfit, the Capone mob, who worked with the CIA in trying to handle Castro. Because a lot of people don't know, or they know now, that Cuba was a hotbed for mafia activity. The gangsters controlled the casinos and the gambling and stuff down in Cuba. It was an open town in Havana. And Brother Bolden. I mean, and also State Attorney Edward Hanrahan, who was a nemesis of the Black Panther Party of Illinois, was also involved in setting up Mr. Bolden. Is that correct, Mr. Bolden?
Yes, that's right. He was a United States Attorney, and he also was the head of the gang that went and assassinated Mark Clark and Fred Hampton.
That's right.
He was the state's attorney at that particular time.
It was like some people was in the mob, right? I mean, like, you ever cross paths with a guy named Richard Kane? Do you remember Richard Kane?
Oh, yes.
Who was Richard Kane?
He was a sheriff of Cook County.
And also, he was a mafia member, right? He was a made man of the outfit. And he might have been an assassin connected to the Kennedy assassination case.
Well, that's what Brother Walden says. And I have no actual proof of that, but that's what Walden, who wrote one of the books on the assassination, that's his theory. And I can neither rebut nor confirm his theory.
But Spagnoli, was he a mafia type? I know he was.
Oh yes, Spagnoli was tied in with the mob. Yes, but Spagnoli did do one thing that was right. He admitted that the whole case against me was a frame job, and that the United States Attorney was behind it. And when the case came before the United States Court of Appeals, the attorney who handled the case, Richard Sykes, was called before the Court of Appeals when the argument was going on before the three-judge panel, and asked point blank whether or not he had solicited perjured testimony in my conviction. And Richard Sykes, in fact, the Court of Appeal judge, the chief judge, asked him 3 times, and Sykes refused to answer. His final answer was this: I refuse to answer on the grounds that my answer may tend to incriminate me. He took the Fifth Amendment as to whether or not the government intentionally framed me for a crime, and they still sent me to the penitentiary.
And I mean, because this is very powerful. Because I mean, it was well known, like you said, you told the chief of the Secret Service that there were some issues in the professionalism and Secret Service agent following protocol. And after the Kennedy assassination, it was a real threat that the Secret Service was going to be disbanded or phased out. Correct?
Yes, that's right. That was the rumor. That's right.
And they already knew that you already, on record as going that the Secret Service had some issues.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. And they didn't want, they were very fearful that the Secret Service was going to be phased out and the job given to the FBI.
Okay, I just want to establish those. And Sister Margaret, you go ahead if you had a question. We'll go to some other people on the phone lines as well.
Not really a question, just, well, I guess it is a question. How did you endure all of that you went through at the hands of the government who employed you? I don't understand. Well, been through a whole lot too. And I'm like you, it was God that brought me through. But I know now why you endured it, how you endured it. But did you ever just were fearful for your life?
Yes, sure. I was fearful for my life. I certainly was. And even after I was released from the penitentiary at time, I was fearful for my life because I knew that they were watching me. I knew that my telephone was tapped and things like that. But I also knew that after what I had gone through, I realized that I was really under the protection of the Almighty, and that the things that had happened to me for a good purpose, and it was for me to discover what that purpose is and to bring it into realization.
Yeah, are you doing book tours?
Yes, I'll go anywhere where people who want to hear what I have to say. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I'm going to get your information from Ron, because I want you to come down to Cleveland to Delta State University in September. Be glad to.
Okay, definitely.
I'll put it on my calendar. Anybody who wants to have me give a speech, just they can contact me through my website, www.echofromdealeyplaza.net. That's Dealey Plaza, DEALEY. Yes, .net. Plaza, PLAZA.
Oh, okay.
Go to another caller. She's been patiently waiting. Sister Sheena out of Memphis, are you there? Sister Sheena, are you there? I'll let her come to the phone. Sister, she might not be on the phone. I mean, there's a lot of people listening. I know I get a lot of great feedback in the chat room as well. And I'd ask you, too, I mean, we talked about the Secret Service, like the improprieties on their part. But, you know, History Channel recently made a movie about the Kennedys that has came on a lot of fire lately.
Yes.
I want to ask you, you know, because you was in the detail, did you know some of the things that President Kennedy was doing in terms of extramarital affairs? Were you aware of that at the time?
No, I was not aware. I was not aware of anything like that, you know. And as a matter of fact, I was not really concerned with that. I really was not. I didn't know, you know, who the people that he was with were, and so I couldn't confirm anything concerning the President Kennedy's specific conduct. All that I know is that he seemed to be in Hannah's sport. He seemed to be a very good husband. He played with his children out there in Little Caroline, and I'm just telling you, he was just a wonderful person to know. And whether he had something on the side or something like that, I can't confirm anything like that. And if the agents were actually paying attention to what their real job is, which is protecting the office of the presidency of the United States according to the Constitution of the United States, then they wouldn't know so much about it either.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And is it true? I know you was in Dallas when Kennedy got assassinated, or the day before. But I read in certain articles and books that the Secret Service, you know, they was drinking and boozing and partying in the strip clubs, and somebody lost their badge. Is that true?
Well, that was a rumor that someone may have lost their badge. I want to put that in the exact context, because during the assassination of President Kennedy, Deputy Sheriff ran up on the Dealey Plaza. He ran towards the picket fence there in Dealey Plaza, because he thought that the shot had come from behind the picket fence on the grassy knoll. And the person behind, who was standing behind there, showed him a Secret Service identification card. And it seemed to be authentic to this officer. I believe the officer's name was Smith, but it seemed to be authentic. Now, when I made the charge, when I brought up the charge at the Secret Service, I was not in Dallas now. But I knew that their habit, how they were, how they went out at night, how they got drunk. And I made the charge that they probably had done this when they were down in Dallas. And so they called me a lie at the particular time, you know, that I brought this up. But it was subsequently confirmed that they, in fact, went out, and several of the agents who were on the detail during the assassination of the president stayed out until about 5 o'clock in the morning, and went back on duty somewhere around 8 o'clock, which you can see they are not prepared to protect the President of the United States doing that kind of conduct.
I got a question from the chat room from Elizabeth Whitten. She's very insightful. She's been doing research on this for several years now. She wants me to ask you, should the Secret Service been on the back of the car during that phase of the parade, and why was the route?